Hey everybody, thanks for checking out Vital MX. Today we're out here at Perris Raceway and we're getting our first chance to ride the 2022 KTM 450 SXF. It's a mouthful. Not a lot changed this year for this bike. In fact, just the graphics and the frame color. That's really all it is from last season. I do love this orange color better. I asked them why they don't just stick with it. It seems to be pretty much a general consensus. Everyone likes it. They said they just mix it up time to time. So enjoy the orange frame while you got it. It probably won't last. I do think it looks way better. As far as this bike on the track today, again, nothing new to tell you about, but I was kind of reminded because I haven't ridden this bike since our shootout last year. So when I jump back on it, I do love the way it's thought out. You know, the controls are all super nice. The grips are great, just like the feel of it. You've got the traction control button that's super effective if you've not ever played with this thing. If you go to the right track where there's a slick base or it's muddy, wet, slick, it works. It works really well. It's a huge assist in those kind of conditions. Not for every day. Here we had such good traction today. Really wasn't, you don't feel it or notice it. And then you've got the two maps. And again, depending on what your track conditions are, what your riding level, skill level is, those are a couple of great tools. You know, one is pretty simple and easy to ride for the most part. I mean, it's still a 450. And two is more aggressive, where if you're an intermediate expert rider, you really want it to be a little more racy. It is, you feel that. So it's just very well thought out the way it's kind of set up. You can tell they've put a lot of time and thought into just making it comfortable. And when you get on, it just feels like everything's right where it needs to be. I also do notice after riding just Japanese bikes for most of the year, it feels a little bit bigger, like a bigger bike to me. And they can obviously adjust that. I'm sure with Cooper Webb's not a big guy. They chop the subframe down and do whatever they do, but just stock trim, if you're a taller guy, you probably like this bike a lot. And I noticed too, I'd say this every year, I've got size 9 sneaker feet, like I'm not a huge foot, but I miss a lot of times the shift lever in my normal positioning, and I've got to really reach forward to get the brake and the shifter with my feet. Just something to think about. They make all kinds of aftermarket levers that you can pull those back and shorten that distance. If you're somebody that's got shorter feet, I tell you, you're gonna wanna do that. But all in all on the track, it's a great motorcycle. This thing was second in our shootout in 2021 and really close. And everybody kind of had the same comments that it just does everything pretty well. There isn't a certain area where like, man, it just doesn't do this, no matter what I do. It does everything pretty well. You do have to spend some time, I say this every year, to figure out what the right air pressure for you is in that fork. We set it at whatever the standard was today, and you know, you set it on your fork pump, and then as you let it go, you hear some air bleed out, so then you know it's not completely accurate. And then you ride it, and then the pressure comes up, so then you gotta check it again. It's like, this is what I don't like about the air fork. It's just, you're constantly having to futz with that thing to get it right. When you find the sweet spot, it works great. It really does. And it's nice to be able to have that ability to change it, but really, I don't want it to change. Once I find what I like, I don't want it to change at all, but you can make it work really well. And we started today, it was a little high. It's at the standard setting, what they recommended, 10.7 bar or 10.8 bar, I think it is. It's written on the fork. And I couldn't get it, you know, if the front end's too tall, it doesn't want to turn into a corner. You'll go to lean in and it stands up, and I kept riding out of ruts. And as soon as I took the pressure down and we were out at the track, so I just used a little rock and went and let a little air out. Problem solved. Now the thing will, you know, kind of settle in and follow a turn. But that's how critical that pressure is. And if you get that feeling where like, man, I can't make it turn, let a little bit of air out of the fork and see if that helps. And then once you get that air pressure right, again, that's just equivalent to a spring rate. You still can play with compression and rebound and try to get the action right. So there's a lot of moving parts there, and I think for most people, it's maybe a little overwhelming. Just play with it until you get comfortable with it. But it does work great once you get this thing working. So that's what I will say about that. The motor, again, amazing package. If you are more on the novice vet rider side, stay with map 1. 2 is a little more aggressive. That's gonna be for kind of elevation, sandy tracks, or faster riders. But all in all, incredible bike. I really like the look of the 22. And I'm sure this thing will be a top contender in our 450 shootout coming up not too far away from now. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time.